Welcome back to the Act 2 podcast, a podcast for the real-life working screenwriter. I am Tasha Hugh.
And I'm Josh Hallman.
And we are Act 2, a network and support group for the everyday working screenwriter. That's you. Thank you for joining us on this podcast. We have other initiatives as well. You can join our Patreon, for example. And that's going to be one of my This Week in Writings, is we did a Q&A for the month with our Patreon subscribers. And it was great.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do that, please subscribe to the podcast. That way you get a little alert that tells you what the topic is. And then if you don't want to do that, maybe you can rate us or rate a comment. And then if you don't want to do that, there's so many options. You could DM us with questions or topic suggestions, or just tell us how it's going in your writing life this year as we're winding down at the end of the year, which is crazy. You can do that at ActTwoWriters@gmail.com, all spelled out, or on our Instagram and Twitter at ActTwoWriters.
A great Christmas gift is telling someone about the Act 2 podcast.
That's such a lovely gift.
That's it. All you have to do is tell someone. Hey, you know what I heard? This is so depressing. I heard that last week, 6 years ago, was the first confirmed COVID case.
Yeah.
6 years.
That seems like too long.
It seems like a long time ago. The reason I bring that up, and I know you're like, why are you talking about COVID on the Act 2 podcast, is because it changed the industry so much. And I was just thinking about it. And I have a This Week in Writing that pertains to the industry changing. And we just had a lot of change. That's all. Listen, I'm reflective at the end of the year, Tasha.
Yeah. It's interesting because we started the podcast 6 years ago in, I think, November.
Well, let me rewind. It was the first confirmed case. This was before like things had happened.
Before the world ended,
and
yeah.
then we were going to start the podcast, and then we just stopped the podcast for like a year, if you remember, because of, I think, COVID. Like we started it, and then we just stopped for like 8 months, and then we like almost like reset and did it again.
Okay. Then I'm thinking of the restart then.
Yeah,
because we started recording in person, and we haven't done that in 6 years.
Right. And then it was like, wait a minute, stuff's going on in the world.
And I will always remember it because not only because they were very fun, but I had first started dating my husband, and I was telling him how we were drinking margaritas at your house while we were recording an episode with Dave, friend of the podcast. And he was like, should you be driving? I was like, oh yeah. Yeah, they were like watered down, and I've been here for like hours.
I would make electrolyte infused margaritas.
Yeah, so you don't get drunk.
Also,
Ish.
What I learned of your tolerance level that day.
Oh God.
I was like, you know what? I don't know if we could do this again. And Dave and I were like crushing margaritas.
And I will always try to keep up because I am stubborn and competitive, and I am Asian. So I don't have a tolerance for alcohol at all.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud that Dave and I... Anyway, moving on.
This Week in Writing.
This Week in Writing.
This Week in Writing.
So... Netflix just purchased Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everyone's talking about it, but I just have to bring it up because that's the industry changing thing. Who knows what's going to happen? It might be the end of theatrical for Warner Brothers. There might be some kind of theatrical element. There might be a new window. Nobody knows. I'm sure things will come out about it, but I think Netflix's MO is streaming, and I understand that because that is their business, but god dang, this is freaking crazy. Netflix purchased Warner Brothers. That's Harry Potter, Tasha. That's Batman. Yeah. That's Superman. I guess those are the only three properties that come to mind.
I don't know, man. I don't know what to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why these monopolies aren't just getting busted. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's like both above my pay grade, and also like I don't have time in my stress life. Like I only have just enough stress allotted to certain things, and I like can't give any to this right now.
Listen, the good news is this past year there's been a lot of spec sales. There's been a lot of movement within the industry. I think it's rebounding. Who knows? Maybe and content is always going to be around. So we're going to always need to make content, but it's just a monumental shift because that is I mean, like the tech consolidation of Hollywood is like almost complete. Okay. So hey, what's your this week in writing?
I guess speaking of technologically driven dystopias, we did a Q&A with our Patreon subscribers for The Running Man, the Glenn Powell movie that came out. We did the original Arnold Schwarzenegger one back in September, and then as this movie came out, we did the Glenn Powell one, and I thought it was very interesting because not a lot of people liked it. I don't think they hated it, but they didn't like it. And having to break down a movie that you don't know why you don't like is so helpful as a writer, because it forced us to really ask questions and get into the nitty-gritty of, okay, like where was it lacking in making you care for a character? Or where was it lacking in the theme, and realizing how important theme and sort of like the thesis or the point of your story is when you're telling a movie, even as popcorny as something like this. And it was just great. It was a really good conversation, and that's it. That's my first This Week in Writing.
Yeah, we always talk about how important it is to break down movies that maybe people don't like. Some people do, some people don't. Whatever.
And it was mixed. It was mixed in the Q&A.
Yeah.
People came in loving it, but also realizing it had flaws.
And what I love about the Q&As and talking to other writers is being able to ask them, well, how would you fix this? And there are ways that people come up with solutions to fix problems, and maybe it's not right, but at least it's a solution to the problem rather than just, complaining about something that maybe you didn't like.
Yeah, like nothing bothers me more when you're having a conversation with writers where they're just complaining about a movie. It's like, well, then let's make this valuable in some way and talk about a lesson that you've learned as a writer. Like, what are you now not going to do, or make sure that you do because of the way that this movie made you feel or the experience you had? Or yeah, if you were given the script of this movie to rewrite as an open writing assignment, how would you address the problems in here? And that is such a valuable tool, because you can take that skill of analyzing and figuring out solutions to an actual job in the future. I love it.
I love it too. Okay. Vince Gilligan, he has a new show called Pluribus. And I was listening to him have a conversation, and he was talking about it. And someone asked what the show was about. And he said, the most miserable person on earth tries to save the world from happiness. So that was his description of the show. That got me thinking. I was like, that's an interesting way to put it. Like he talked about it in that regard. And I remember what he always used to say about Breaking Bad, which was, he said, I want to take Mr. Chips and turn him into Scarface. Mm-hmm. So that was the premise of Breaking Bad to him. And both of those are rooted in character.
Yeah.
Which I love, because these are very big concept shows that he has created. And what he just described the show as has nothing to do with the premise of the actual show.
Yeah.
And I freaking loved it, because he's like, I want to take this character and do this with them, or I want to take this and do this. And it's just worth noting.
Yeah.
Character first.
Yeah. Exceptional. That's why he's exceptional.
Yeah. Go.
What?
What?
I don't know. Just coming after that, I don't know if this one feels I should have gone first.
Oh, shit.
The Mighty Nine is number 1 in the country right now, Joshua.
No, this is a great way to end This Week in Writing. What are you talking about?
It's also number 1 in like a dozen random countries. Like, people in Nigeria are loving this show, and Finland, it's killing.
I heard about the huge following in Nigeria. That's
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. That's all. That's my This Week in Writing.
Well, you absolutely should have finished with that, but have you been celebrating? What do we do? I feel like you haven't. You've just been...
I haven't.
You've just been like, hey... What's up?
What do you do? What should you do to celebrate?
I think you just take a moment, think about it, go out, have a night, have a dinner, and just talk about it the entire time.
just make my husband tell me how good the Mighty Nine is the entire time.
Have him break down scenes.
Which was your favorite?
Yeah.
Tell me why.
I mean, that's
Tell
exciting.
me what line.
I guess what do you do? I don't know, man. I don't know.
Take a day off. Take a day off in the week. It comes out every Wednesday. So like take a Wednesday off.
But then you can't take a day off because then someone else is coming.
Sam. Yeah, so I haven't taken any time off. I watch reaction videos.
Oh, you do?
I do. And that's fun because it's, especially this last episode, is a bit of an emotional journey. And so that's been fun to see people kind of shocked by the emotional journey. That shit's fun because you don't get to do this normally, right? Like this is it's like a gift. People are either shitting on it in comment sections or they're saying nothing.
Hey,
so.
At least people feel a certain way, because the last thing you want to do is create something where people have a neutral feeling.
Indifferent.
It's just an indifferent. The worst thing is when someone reads a script and they're like, yeah. You're like, wait, what? You didn't hate it and you didn't love it?
That's interesting. I'm wondering if in reading comments for things that I've made, would I have preferred if someone was like, not for me? Or one that I read the other day was, you should never have ran this show. You're the worst person in the world to have done this. You have fucked it up. And there were like 5 different comments. Like the person hit enter and was like, I'm not done. And then they kept going. Like, is that better or worse? Maybe because it's like so fiery, it's kind of ridiculous. So you're just like, But if someone's like, it wasn't for me, you're like, wait, but why?
Yeah, why wasn't it for you?
What can I have fixed that it would have been for you?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I would rather have the person hate me, just because then you can like kind of laugh about it and just be like. But also, what are these? We've talked about this before. People are just angry, writing angry comments on something they didn't create. It's just the craziest thing to me.
Yeah.
It's like, why even say anything?
Why even say anything? When I really, really don't like something, I'm not out there telling the person to, burn everything down because they suck. I'm just like, I don't like that thing.
Yeah.
You don't need to know that. That's okay.
Very empowered behind a keyboard.
Yeah. It's fine.
It's fine. Everything's fine. Okay. Tasha.
Yes. Our topic today.
We have a topic.
We have a topic. Our topic today is that Final Draft has come out with a list of 5 pieces of advice to tell a compelling story, and we thought we'd talk about that.
Yeah. Sometimes we see these articles. Sometimes they get shared. They pop up on Twitter. They somehow end up in the inbox. And I feel like we have to talk about it.
Yeah. This is one of them. And typically, if you've ever listened to an episode where we do something like this before, Josh and I have our own thoughts about the numbers, the lists of advice. And so we'll see if we agree, disagree, are extremely passionate, or disinterested.
I love that I just said, why even say anything if you don't like it? And now we're about to do an entire episode. Oh, no.
We're the worst.
Yeah, well, okay.
We'll just have additional thoughts. We have thoughts, and we also have thoughts about how we practically use these things. Because I think a pet peeve of mine when it comes to these lists of writing tips and advices and writing books is that, like, generically, they make sense. Like, of course, like, number 1 on this list, as we're going to get into, is good stories start with character. Of course they do. No one can disagree with that. But as it starts to get into, like, how to craft characters, sometimes that's where it becomes unhelpful. Because, yeah, generally that's good advice, but how do I actually apply it to my writing life? And that's often where Josh and I will chime in, is like, okay, this is a great piece of advice, but this is how you use it, or this is not actually how I would use it. I would do it this way. But I think that the 5 pieces of advice that we're going to go through are all really good things to keep in mind. They all definitely create compelling stories, so we don't disagree there.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to start with number 1.
Yeah.
Good stories start with character. And this writer says, do you remember what Raiders of the Lost Ark is about, or do you remember Indiana Jones? And of course you remember Indiana Jones. And there are often people, I'm sure you've been in conversations like this, where people are thinking of, like, which one is the Indiana Jones movie where this happens? it doesn't matter what happens. It just matters that you know it's an Indiana Jones movie and you know that you love it and you know that amazing things happen in it. And then that's what you carry through with you and makes you want to watch more and more and more of it and
Yeah.
share it on the podcast and get tattoos about it. What?
Yeah, listen, like we just said, or at least I said with the Vince Gilligan thing, character is everything. It's like, I don't even know. Like, good stories do start with character, and it starts with, okay, what's this kind of character I want to talk about? Where's this character going? As someone myself who oftentimes thinks of just a what if scenario or a setup or a plot or this and that, I very quickly realize how important character is, because oftentimes Tasha will come to you and be like, Tasha, what if this one friend finds this thing and then this happens? And you're like, great. Well, and then once you start pushing on it, it always comes back to character and like, well, what's the second act? Well, it has to be character motivated.
I think every time you come to me with a what if, I'm always like, great, but like, what does the character want in this? Like, I love this idea, but like, what does the character want? Yeah, so that was going to be a question I had for you is, when you think of ideas, does it feel like it comes from plot first, or does it come from like, it would be so cool if this character did something like this or was confronted by something like this? Do you have a usual when it comes to coming up with ideas?
My usual is like the what if scenario, like always, only because I just find those fascinating. And we'll send messages and you'll be walking somewhere and be like, oh my God, I saw something here. Like, what if this place is haunted? Or what if, and then it's like, okay, like let's say I'm talking to you about a school. And I'm like, okay, well, a school obviously would probably have to do with kids or parents. And so now what's wrong with the parents? And then it's like almost reverse engineering the characters around a what if.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say most of the time I'm what if scenario. However, not all the time. There's also like, oh man, that person, you see someone or you're going through something and you're like, well, what if I could get to, you kind of arc this character into loving their parents all of a sudden, like this.
Yeah.
How would that look? Like, where's that coming from? So,
and having a what if as a plot thing first, I don't think is bad. I mean, it's not bad. What if the Natural History Museum in New York came alive at night?
yeah.
That's definitely where Night at the Museum started. Someone walked into that museum and was like, oh my God, that would be so crazy. Now I need a character to go through this. Okay, what is the best character to go through something like this? How do I make this idea meaningful? Well, what if it's a father-son story and his father is a loser and he can't get his shit together and he gets a job as a night guard here?
Yeah.
And now I have a story because I have a character that I care about. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, because I feel like my ideas tend to come from character. Is that right? Or do you feel like it's a mix? I feel like maybe it's a mix, because sometimes I just come up with like, this would be crazy.
Yeah, I think it's a mix. I do think
Yeah.
that you're better at really diving into character after this would be crazy, because then you talk about character. If there was a text thread or a text message breakdown, your what if is followed by character development. My what if is followed by, and then this, and then this.
It'd be so cool if these things happened. If our two powers could combine.
And then this, but you know what? You need a what if. I think the what if kind of keeps your imagination alive.
Yeah.
It's like a Harry Potter or something. I don't know. It's like, I think that's what really excites me.
Yeah, and even Harry Potter probably came from, it would be so cool to go to a magic school. What is the best character to come to a magic school? Well, probably need someone who's never heard of magic, because it's a more fun sort of entry point. Okay, what does that look like? So it's like this conversation about character and finding good character. It's a lot of walking things back. Like, usually you have an idea and it's not a completely formed character. And if anything, it's like a scene. It's like, it would be cool if at the end of the movie, the world's best assassin was dying. Okay, well, how do I walk back now to figure out what character that would be? Where does he start his journey if he's ending dying? And then it's just asking yourself a lot of questions. Like, I had a movie idea once that started with, it was kind of both plot and character. The vision was a woman in a prison jumpsuit leaps over a fence and is running for her life. That's all that I knew. That was going to be the opening of the movie. That excited me. And then I had to start building from that. Okay, who is she? Why is she running? What does she want? What scares her? Why was she caught and in prison to begin with? And now that she's running from the cops, how is she going to evade them? What special skills does she have that allows her to do that? And the more I started asking questions, the more story would also form, but also character. And that becomes really important. Yeah, so of course character is really key, but I think like the other piece of it is it may not necessarily start exactly from character. Your idea can come from anywhere. And I don't want people to feel like, okay, as I sit here at my desk trying to come up with a new story, it should only be character journeys. The story should come from wherever the fuck they come from for you. And for everyone, it's so different. But the next few questions really do need to be about character, or you're not going to figure out what your story is.
Yeah. I'm always reminded of that, like 100%.
Yeah.
Number 2 is an element of suspense. What makes a good narrative is having the audience constantly wonder what's next. These cliffhangers are what keeps viewers coming back to TV when a show goes to a commercial, or allows a streamer to send them to the next episode even when they should go to bed. It says the key takeaway is suspense is about holding attention.
Yes. So someone once told me that they write their TV episodes and their movies as if they were network television shows, meaning on network television, we have commercial breaks. And to get someone to come back after commercial, we need to hook them so that, yes, they may run to go get some water in the kitchen, but they can't wait to get their asses back to the couch to watch the next piece of your episode. And that is very, very hard to do, especially more and more nowadays, right? With people's smaller attention span. And for that reason, this person used 5-act structure in not only their network shows, but also for streaming and for their movies. And me personally, I tend to write in 3 acts because I come from movies and it's just what I'm familiar with. But these people who are writing in 5 acts, I find it really, really interesting. Whether or not they have commercial breaks, they will think in 5 acts. And because what it does for them is it creates suspense at every turn. It's just a more exciting read and therefore a more exciting watch, because if you're writing to hooks, the audience can't help but keep going. And I think like a writing lesson to learn from this, and it's something that I 1000% do. I will write and I'll write and I'll write and I'll think of the character and I'll think of story and like all these things come together. And then kind of like towards the end, I'll do a pass on suspense where I look at every single individual scene and I think, okay, can I get out of this earlier? It's also something I'm doing just innately as I'm writing, but like it can be a pass that you do as well. Like, can I get out of this scene earlier so that I'm leaving the audience wondering a bit more about what's going on with these characters, right? And I don't think you need to do this with every single scene. It would be weird if you like unnaturally cut out of every single scene. That's where, again, your innate story sense really needs to come into play, because some scenes need tension in the scene and the tension needs to be resolved in that scene. But some can be spaced out where the tension is building and 2 characters are about to shoot each other and then you cut away. And maybe that's what keeps the audience going. And I think the main point is go back through your script, read each individual scene. Is this scene causing the audience to ask any questions at all? And I think that's really what I think about when I think about suspense. It's less like cutting out of a scene at a key moment and more like, am I causing the audience to ask questions? Like, why did the hero say that to her? He loves her. Why did he say that mean thing? I'm not going to tell you in this scene. I'm going to tell you 5 scenes later or at the end of the movie. Or why did that character just pick up a button? It seemed very special to them. Why did they do that? Or that person is so confident, but then they cried when they looked in the mirror. That's really weird. What's going on there? And I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you for a while. And that's going to make the audience feel like they're a part of the story because they're wondering these questions as they're watching. And so I think whatever the question is, it can be small, it can be big. It can be, why did they take 5 steps exactly to that door? But the more you're engaging your audience in every single scene that you write, the more you're going to create this suspense for them.
I just binged a series called All Her Fault. Have you heard of it?
I have, because it's been huge and they've been marketing it like crazy.
Oh, I just happened to come across it's on Peacock and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. And let me tell you,
It's bingeable, huh?
It's very bingeable, but they do a great job of creating the suspense in every single episode. At the end, you're like, oh, it's kind of a thriller mystery, and there's things unfolding along the way. And I was thinking like, wow, this is done really well. It's like this perfect blend of prestige meets camp almost.
Yeah. Oh,
And-
interesting.
And the acting's fantastic. It's with Sarah Snook from
Succession.
Succession. She's amazing. And then there's things that are happening in it where a little campy, but also not. It's crazy. It's a cool blend. It's worth checking out just for the suspense.
Can I ask you, is it the kind of show where it's like, you're kind of watching, and then like there's a suspenseful hook at the end that you're like, fuck, I got to keep watching, but like the middle is kind of slow?
It starts with a bang, and you're kind of in, and you're like, holy shit. And it deals with a child, and I have multiple friends who are like, I don't even have kids, and this was like causing me anxiety.
Ooh,
And-
interesting.
Yeah, and then at the end of each episode, it ends with a bang, and then there's always something, and then you're just, but at a certain point, you just want to know what the mystery is.
Yeah.
And I
That's
think
great.
that's a good way to write any mystery.
Very cool. Okay. Yeah, it's on the giant list to check out for sure. It's gets longer and longer. Okay, number 3. Put a strong narrative structure in place. The beginning, middle, and end must be clear, with protagonist introductions happening at the beginning, the rising action in the middle before the climax, and then the final resolution. So this is really just have a structure.
Yeah.
Don't go crazy and be weird and just wander as wherever you want. Have a clear structure. And, for those of us who've been to film school, this maybe ignites a little rebellion in you, but it's still true.
Yeah.
It's still true. Like, no structure so that you can break it is what they always say, right? Like, the more you're able to craft a really strong story, master that ability to understand structure, the more you can break it with intention and with the meaning that you really want it to have. So if you go off the rails, it is with intention. And I firmly believe that as someone who was taught structure and like, fuck structure, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want.
Of course.
I'm an artiste. You can't hold me down.
No.
And I love structure now.
Yeah.
It's so important, and when you break it, it's so meaningful, but it also just helps me. It's a guide to help me tell the best story, because it's like a safe place. You know that the structure needs to do certain things, and it helps you realize, oh fuck, like I don't have an obstacle here, and I need my character to start facing obstacles in order for the midpoint to really pay off. And maybe I have an idea of what the midpoint is, but unless I think of structure and rising action in Act 2A, I might not get there in the best way, because my brain wanders and I just want these characters to talk to each other and do cool things, and you forget that you need tension, whatever the thing is. So, structure is super key. I mean, you can kind of see on my whiteboard behind me, but I have an Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 of a movie that I was breaking. And I did all this character work first, hours and hours of character work and theme work and some like story work. And then I went to Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. So all this stuff we're talking about can come first.
Yeah.
But now you start to plug it into a story and see, like, does it even function as a story? This character stuff that you've been thinking about, these plot points you've been thinking about, does it work as a story? And that's just part of the struggle, part of the breakage of what your story is.
Well said. I don't have much to add. Structure just adds a little safety net. And I think someone who's reading the script as well, they know that they're reading something that is in nice hands, because they know things are evolving, and you can feel when structure is working to your benefit. And you're like, okay, this is actually happening. These characters are evolving. This is moving along. This is subconscious safety net that I think is great.
Yeah. And when you pitch for studio executives, producers, and you're pitching either a TV show or a movie, they are going to stop you and say, what act are we in? Where is this? And you have to know the answer to that.
Yes. As much as you would like to ignore that structure exists,
Yeah.
everyone wants to know where you are in a script.
Yes. And it can be a 5-act structure. You can do that if you want to. Sure, go ahead. But that's still structure. And I think one thing that really drove home for me how structure is so important, but how you don't have to be kind of a slave to it was the movie Jane Eyre by Cary Fukunaga. I know that's a really random movie for it to like hit me that way, but I was obsessed with that movie when it came out. I watched it over and over and over and over and over again, and I loved it so much. And then I started to realize that literally at minute 25, he breaks into Act 2.
Yeah.
Literally at minute 50 is the midpoint. Like, it was so structurally honed that's why I was reacting, but I didn't realize, that till like watch 20. I was just on the ride, and I was on the ride because the structure was so good. And so it was taking me on these like big adventures and then like bringing me down and making me really excited. And then, oh my God, making me ask questions.
Yeah.
It was doing all of that because it was structurally sound, but hiding it with how good it was.
Number 4. This is great. What genre are you writing? It's important to define the genre so that the audience has a framework for expectations. People will choose to watch an action movie for a completely different reason than a rom-com or a horror. This author says a little bit more, is know your genre before you start writing your story.
What do you think about that?
Tasha, as someone who just wrote a murder mystery with you, and people are maybe bumping on it a bit, I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, people are bumping on the tone of it. I don't know if I agree with the key takeaway being know your genre before you're writing it, because sometimes you can find your genre as you're writing. It can start as a horror, but then as you're writing, you're like, oh my God, this is like a farcical. It's like ridiculous. But I don't think the key takeaway is know your genre before you start writing. I think the key takeaway is it does have to fit in a box in a way. And it can be like the most exceptional thing that the action genre has ever seen, and it totally redefines the genre. It can be that, but still be an action movie, right? So like I think John Wick did. I think it sort of resurrected the genre or changed the genre in some way. The Matrix did that as well, but that is very clearly an action movie. It's just a really well done action movie. And yes, like with our script that Josh is talking about, I think people are getting it and they're like, but where does this fit? It's dark because Santa dies, but it's light because we're in the North Pole and like we're enjoying being in the North Pole. So where does this fit? And so when you have a script that feels that way, yeah, you do have to come hard, I guess, on these decisions. What kind of movie is it? Because if you write an action movie rom-com and you're selling it as solely an action movie, people are gonna be like, but it's funny and there's a romance element. You're like, yeah, but that doesn't matter. It's like, but it's in here. So how do I market it? Because that's another thing. If you want your movies to get made and then to be sold and then for people to watch it and rave about it, part of it is marketing. That is a part of the process of revealing a movie to the world. And someone down the line is going to need to know, how do I market this movie? I don't understand it. And as an example, I worked at Universal when Scott Pilgrim was coming out. And I don't know if y'all remember that movie, Michael Cera.
Of course.
But the marketing team didn't understand the movie. Because it is a weird genre. It's a weird Edgar Wright movie where like it's sort of like a teen moody drama with Michael Cera as Scott Pilgrim, but it's also like fantastical in some way. It's also musical. There's just a lot going on, which is fine. But I don't think the marketing team was like really having the best conversations with the creative team so that everyone was on board with understanding what this movie was. So the marketing was just off. And that's because there wasn't like a very clear genre. And it's not to say you can't do Scott Pilgrim and make it really successful. It's just you got to know. You really have to know how you would market this. Tell someone at a coffee shop why they should watch this movie.
Yeah, it creates that sense of comfort so people know what they're getting. So you can sell it, of course. And by the way, while you were saying that, it's so interesting because Edgar Wright is kind of his own genre.
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, this is like an Edgar Wright film meets this. And I feel like you could kind of get that because, God, I love his films. Anyway, okay, we can move on.
The next one and the last one is connection.
Yeah.
What makes a good story is connection. It's empathy for a protagonist or connecting to the external conflicts that force them to make decisions. The key takeaway here is that connection is about finding universal themes and telling them in a specific way. Great storytellers know how to connect the characters and the plot to its audience. So this is in some ways related to character.
Yeah, it feels like that.
But it's really, I guess, about theme. In the Running Man Q&A that we did, for example, a big thing that the writers found was missing was this connection. Like, it starts as a relatable character, but it loses the connection you have to the character as the movie progresses. And so you suddenly find yourself kind of leaning back from the movie, being like, well, why do I care? Because I'm not invested in this character's connection to the story, like the stakes. Connection is also about stakes. It's about theme. It's about what are you trying to say with the movie? It's about when I leave this movie, how am I going to feel as a human being? Am I going to feel enriched? Am I going to feel sad? Am I going to feel like something has been taken from me? All of those are valid, but I should feel a certain way. I shouldn't walk out, to your earlier point, indifferent to this movie and just feel like, it was just 2 hours I spent watching a thing on a screen, not something I'm taking home with me and wanting to share with someone else or tell them about my experience. So connection is about creating an experience for your audience.
Yeah.
In some way, whatever way you want that to be. And sometimes I think when we have ideas or we want to write a movie, we kind of forget that element because we're thinking about a million other things that are required to craft a story. And one of those things is I'm just going to tell the story that I want to tell. And we kind of can often and easily forget that this is an audience experience that we're giving. And that's what we want. I mean, that's why we're writing, is so that someone can feel something that we have to say. And it's just a good reminder. Do a pass on connection.
Yeah, it's true. There's nothing better than when someone tells you like your script made someone feel a certain way or cry or get emotional, or, it just hits specific connections that they have in their life because, that's the human connection. We all kind of share similar experiences just in different ways. And if, as a writer, if you can tap into that and make someone feel the way that you have felt, it's like, that's beautiful. That's hard to do, but you can do it. That's what I love about writing and stories.
That's it. That's our final draft. 5 good pieces of writing advice for crafting a compelling story.
We should probably shout out the author, Stephen Hartman.
Killing it.
He's an award-winning screenwriter whose credits include Blindly in Love, top 5 finalists, The Big Break, historical category. Okay, that's it. Just wanted to give him a shout out. We did talk about his article.
It's a great article, so thank you for writing it, Stephen. I guess quote of the day?
Yeah, just settle down with your enthusiasm over there.
Quote of the day. A list of prime virtues of fiction. Be specific and efficient. Use a lot of details. Always be escalating. Show, don't tell. George Saunders.
Our boy.
Please remember to rate and subscribe. Follow us at Act2Writers for more awesome writing stuff. You can follow me, Tasha at Story Thursday on Instagram, or on Twitter at Tasha 3.0.
I'm Joshua Hallman on Twitter, Josh Hallman on Instagram.
And as always, the Act 2 podcast is a production of Act 2, a network and support group for the everyday working screenwriter. This episode was edited by Paul Lundquist.